And so we can start first from saying what Spacebit and Goonhilly are about to do. No? So Spacebit and Goonhilly Satellite Earth Station developed LinkX, decentralized ground station scheduling system, and part of Orbitlink global space decentralized communications platform network.
So absolutely, it's all about the communication between satellite and Earth on the ground. So there is no internet in space. So if you want to talk to the satellite, you have to use a huge provider, have those dishes available. Or they might be in a different part of the world, so you don't have a coverage for that part of the world if you have a satellite kind of going into different parts of the world. So if you want to talk to that satellite, you would usually call a ground station provider and you would ask them to provide a specific satellite at a specific time for a specific price. So you have to call and you have to negotiate, and then you have to make a transaction, and it takes sometimes hours and sometimes it takes days. It's a very lengthy process. That's why a market for satellite communication is very fragmented, because there is no system which can actually automate that. And that's exactly what Orbitlink is about. It's about automation, automatic scheduling, and bidding process for satellite communication. What we actually trying to achieve here is we're building a new internet for space, where you're able to connect with your satellites in space. If it's a commercial data, if it's a scientific data, but you can talk to your satellites directly using our platform. The next step for us would be using a demodulation services and EOS platform, where we can actually take the raw data and then transfer it in something that users would finally use.
Okay, yeah, nice project, no? So I can read on your website that the purpose of your project is to democratize access to space, by new decentralized economic model.
Yeah, absolutely.
Run commercial space machines, tokenized space machines.
Yeah, so it's a new concept. Relatively new. I've been talking about it for a while. Tekkenization of space assets. What does it mean? It means that at the moment, if you invest into space venture as a VC, usually the cycle of investment is very long. There is no liquidity. It's, I think, a new class of the security assets for space. You're able to support a specific companies or missions, and then make those investments more liquid, so you can have a flow, a deal flow in the real time, and you can exit and get new investors during the cycle of your investment, which is very important for space industries, because most of the investments in space industries are long-term investments. And actually, our next step would be a launch of a specific dedicated space fund, which would be using first cryptocurrency and then model of tokenization, and basically building a specific exchange, regulated exchange for space assets, where we can tokenize them and then open them to sophisticated investors, and then finally, hopefully, even to individual users, where people would be able to participate directly into space projects.
Regulated exchange by who?
Yes, it's a new concept of exchange. It's not like a normal crypto exchange that we're talking about.
Okay. You cannot say anything more.
Well, the fund will be announced very soon. Within 1 week, we are announcing a fund. That fund will be investing into space projects, which are not necessarily blockchain related, but yeah, a few interesting things are coming, and we'll be announcing in a few days.
But you are not doing an ICO, eye-dropping, nothing. What would it be?
No, we're not doing an ICO. There is native token within Orbitlink network, which is used for payments. But obviously, one day in the future, it might be listed on the crypto exchange because there is a real use case around this token, and if there is a need of the market forces to be part of the Orbitlink systems, I would definitely like to open it for the exchanges as well and list it on some exchanges. But for now, it's solely business-to-business application where those tokens are used by a community of space companies who are using those tokens to transact on the system itself.
Okay, and how will you leverage the platform?
So yeah, we build it on EOS, and obviously we open it to other players from the space community. Now it's in beta testing, but we will open it up, and it will be possible for people to go to the website and then using our platform and getting access to the space data, not only to their satellites, to potentially any open space data in the future, or you will be able to acquire this data as it's been streamed from a satellite. You can pay for this data. Some of the data will be free. It will be free for educational institutions as well. And for us, we can see a few aspects of applications of blockchain for space. First one is technology, how blockchain will be used for something like space communications, or for example, for operation systems on a spacecraft, or something else. But there are also financial applications such as Tekkenization, how you will tokenize future missions, how you will attract capital. For similar projects have been running financial industry. For example, Milan Port is doing something similar for financial industry. We are planning to do the same for space and space industry, starting with VC fund and proving the case with space startups, and then moving into the Tekkenization of larger space projects.
New economy.
Yeah, absolutely.
How would you use IOTA Cubic?
Well, IOTA, in specific case, IOTA is for IoT and for multiple spacecraft where they have to communicate to each other. And the essence of that protocol is that it allows IoT communication, and it allows for multiple devices, a swarm of satellites, or maybe some rovers on the moon to talk to each other and communicate and reach some sort of localized consensus on the network. Where in those instances, it doesn't make sense to run EOS blockchain, but obviously we have to make sure that those transactions do talk back to our main network.
How will they communicate all these devices? What do you use in space?
Yes, I mean we use radio communication in space, which is radio, and in the future it will be laser. One of our partners from Latin America space agencies are sending their laser satellite testing platform in November. So laser communication will be one of the aspects of future space missions. So for us, it's radio communication and the laser, obviously then the modulating those signals and streaming that data, converting information, streaming it to the internet, and then obviously the system would connect using startup APIs.
Spacebit, Orbitlink. Where would you place it between projects like the ones operated by Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Branson? Where would you place yourself?
Well, we are doing things which can actually help Elon Musk and help Richard Branson to talk to their satellites. And Elon Musk is planning to launch quite a few satellites in the coming years. And he will need ground stations. He will need some automated processes behind this. satellite, because when we talk about data, about massive amounts of data generated by those satellites, then you need a communication, and you have to be able to schedule connections with the satellites, and you have to collect different data from those satellites and talk to them as well. And for that, our system is unique, as it allows distributed consensus and scheduling and bidding on time slots for satellite communication. So we remove a bottleneck of calling and texting, kind of transferring money, which is almost impossible if you need access to your satellite in instant. So we can definitely work with Elon. I mean, IOTA on Mars does make sense. We can help rovers to talk to each other and reach consensus in a localized environment where we can't really control what they're doing. Yeah, so, and maybe even fund Elon Musk's mission in the future. That's a possibility as well.
Nice. Okay. Can you just describe internet? Yes, space internet.
Orbitlink system, yeah. I would call Orbitlink system a future of a space internet. So we will use EOS blockchain to create internet for space communications. That's what we do.
But this internet, will there be a possibility also on Earth to like the internet?
Yes, well, this is not an internet to replace internet on Earth, but definitely there will be an Earth connection of different nodes and companies and people want to basically access satellites, who want to talk to the rovers and maybe people in the future on the moon orbit or on Mars. So they will be using communication systems like Orbitlink created by Spacebit in order to do that in the future. That's my belief. However, I don't think that this system will replace internet on the ground because it's already quite efficient. And obviously, blockchain might bring something in terms of the internet of value to this proposition. And in that regards, applies also to space economy, where you can actually transact value at the same time as you transacting the data about something or just distributing information. So you can actually transact the value in the future as well. It might be used in the future for space banking, like it will be asteroids, space banking, and you will have asteroids mining in the future. So something like space internet developed by Orbitlink can also be a system which will basically allow a transaction of value, but that's a long time from now.
Maybe second option, somebody feel about, I don't know, I don't like it.
So, what will be the services LinkX will provide?
So the main services provided by Orbitlink will be access to satellites, scheduling of connection with the satellites, and then streaming of the data from the satellite to the ground, and in the future the modulation of the data that we get from the satellite and obviously transferring it to computer readable code.
There will be also the
I'm very sad because I'm working alone. I didn't charge money from family.
the drawbacks.
They
What are possible?
these three five colleges, for
example, there are already
I work alone
in the space, and they all can collide. So if down to the other space stations are going to satellite, space will be you know, how
Are you talking about space junk here, like multiple satellites in space?
Yeah.
Or yeah, I mean,
so there will be all the satellites, no?
yes, I mean, blockchain potentially can help to can be leveraged to help with the satellite cross-satellite communication system like IOTA can help satellites to identify and then to talk to each other and then to basically schedule their movements in the around the Earth and in space. That's something which is possible that can potentially mitigate the risk of collision of satellites in the future, but obviously it will have to go along with the other new developments in propulsion systems and many other communication enhancement and other things which would be kind of using some radars to trace the trajectory. So it's not only the blockchain, but there will be many other complementary technologies which have to be developed before that happens. But in the future, it's quite likely that they will have to use some sort of automated consensus in space in order to avoid collision or to agree what they're doing, where they're going, and things like that.
So this is where the yes.
Well, that's one of the potential future applications for Orbitlink. It's not something that it can do right now, but it's definitely on our agenda, and that's something that we are looking at right now.
So you also need some governance model for it.
Absolutely, governance models are very needed here on the ground as well as in space. Yeah, that's something that is not established and obviously it's open for the future. I recently was a speaker at the International Astronomical Congress, and those topics around space governance models were discussed there as well, which is probably first time that those topics were touched at a major space conference.
Because now there is space is, you know, Wild West. So.
Yes. Well, it's not Wild West. There's regulation. There is the space treaty. There is the Moon Treaty. But obviously, individual governments they also can create their individual laws about space. For example, Luxembourg is one of those governments which allows extraction of space resources by commercial organizations, and that's something very new. That's why we believe that governments like Luxembourg are uniquely positioned to develop a new space economy. And hopefully, the United Kingdom also with Brexit will develop some capability to do that as well.
What will place artificial intelligence in your role?
And artificial intelligence will be quite important with all those agreements and communications of satellites. Obviously, even within our system, Orbitlink, we have basic elements of artificial intelligence which are being used for our scheduling system. Obviously, they're not as intelligent as you would like them to be. So they will be more intelligent in the future, and basically that's what will be very important for the future space missions and satellites, where they will have to use some sort of artificial intelligence and consensus mechanism along that. Where the satellites will be agreeing and transacting.
Sorry, I don't hear it. The last sentence you said, what was it? No?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you repeat the last sentence, the last part?
Yes, so it will be very, so Orbitlink already has some aspects of artificial intelligence, but I believe that in the future we will need a sophisticated artificial intelligence mechanics which kind of decide where they're going, what they're doing, and there should be some consensus mechanism alongside the kind of artificial intelligence mechanism, as humans won't be able to obviously control all those activities in space happening simultaneously. So you need some level of automation. And obviously, as we're moving to a new world order, let's call it, I don't know, industrial revolution 4.0, where you will have processes of automation playing an important role in the future economy, then blockchain and artificial intelligence would be a very important component. And space industry is one of those industries where it will be the case.
And what do you think is the main commercial, how to say it, commercial opportunity for space projects? Well, what's the driving?
Oh, there are many. There are many. So when we talk about space, not necessarily only blockchain related, there are so many verticals, and also there is no kind of space ecosystem right now. There are many gaps. If you're talking about moon exploration or Mars or anything like that, there are companies which are building rockets like Elon Musk. Other companies are doing something else, but there is no actual framework which can. There is no actual framework which connects all of them, and there are still gaps in the supply chain. And I believe that there are many other space companies to come and to help with those developments. So when you refer to Elon Musk, he is doing very well with the rockets, but obviously there are many other things to be done by other larger or smaller companies as well.
And are you planning to what other projects do you have other than scheduling platform, communication platform?
So we have some projects related to exploration of other celestial bodies, but that's something that we'll be revealing in the next couple of months, and I would be glad to tell you more about that in the future.
Okay.
I mean, this platform is already in beta, so we have satellite owners already testing the system. In a couple of months, it will be open to a broader audience, and then maybe it will go live next year.
How your communication will be assured in while we have, for example, when there is a climate change. For example, you know, when there is raining a lot or something, the communications interrupt. How will you assure that it's?
That's why we have a decentralized consensus mechanism, and we have multiple ground stations, not one ground station that we're using, but we're using quite a few. I mean, Goonhilly itself has around 60 dishes around the world, and obviously as we develop Orbitlink, I hope that the number of communication dishes will increase. So you will have a capacity to pack those kind of events of nature, and that's why having a system like this will be able to mitigate the risks of a single platform where you have a single agreement with a single communication provider. But in this case, you can actually back up the communication, and you have multiple kind of dishes talking to your satellite, and also you can have more resilience in the system. So if one communication channel fails, then you can automatically use another communication channel and reschedule it automatically without the need to call and set up a new connection.
Okay. Do you want to add something?
Well, I believe that we are at the very beginning.
That I didn't ask that you would like to say.
I believe that we are at the very beginning of blockchain applications for space, and it's very important to see the potential and to be brave and actually go and do it. And thank you very much for your interview. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.